Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and today is Wednesday. It feels like Tuesday, but today is actually Wednesday because we had the Monday holiday. But interesting day today. It was another nice trend day. It was pretty much all uphill, and if you got here early, you really could have done pretty well before it even reached 9 o'clock this morning. But early on, I was looking at this channel, and it's really two-tiered. There's a midline in there. Let me just go ahead and put that back on there. I didn't want to junk it up too much when I started looking at the alternative here. But you can see there's kind of a midline up through there. And that's what I was looking at earlier, and that's what I was playing earlier. And there's a short term one working right up through there. Um, but that again, that's what I was looking at earlier. But what we did was we had a break here at a new high, and then we kind of had a correction. Let's just see how long that correction was. We started correcting really at right at about 9 o'clock, and the uptrend I would say started back somewhere maybe right in this move here. You probably could say this one. So 950, 1020. So that's about an hour correction, to be honest. Um, and then we had another tighter channel here, and there's really two tiers in this darker channel here. But you could have seen it a different way. You could see that you had this working up. A lot of times, if you get a break early on in the morning, it doesn't really, we'll ignore it, and you'll have to get another break, which wouldn't have come till here, and then you expect a couple of legs up. Now, does that mean just a couple of legs looking at it here, or does that mean this is like leg one, and then a bigger correction here, and then there's leg two, and we actually went slightly higher than that before we started to turn down. So you could have looked at this either way. You didn't necessarily have to see this afternoon channel that's working up here, or morning to afternoon channel. But I think what we had was we had this channel working up, we had the break that really counted here, and then the two legs up. And once you saw this leg, I was looking for a measured move, and so you would have wanted to try to stay with this one until we reached that. Now, that one additional push up before the market will correct, especially on a strong trend day. And so that's what I think we're really looking at. Doesn't matter, you usually can get a trend on this second go round, and there's some shorter term lines within this as well. So um, you got to keep that in mind. But that's what we're looking at. I was looking at this two-tier channel with the break here and the move to a new high, and long and you want to stay with this thing. So, but let's back out, talk about the trades. Lots of them on here. Even though you could have found some, you got to be real careful shorting. Especially this move here really kind of set at the open. Hey, we might, and that was another thing you probably want to look for as well, is measure this move and then look for that, and you see where that got you to. It got you basically to that high and then that last push again, so it got you to the same place this and this did earlier. So those are always important, so use those, and they give you a clue. You don't want to trade off of them, but they just give you a clue if everything else is falling in place to be able to stay with your trades and so forth, and to kind of get a feel for when the market might be getting ready to reverse again. The first trade I saw this morning, we had this little down, we had a break and a couple of legs to new low. You don't want to take the first move, but when it tried to go lower again, it went out the low side. I like going long there because this is looking really kind of rangy, and you've got the strong support right there, and we're probably going to go back up and test the high. And it takes off, it pulls back, gives you another chance to enter, and it really gave you that another little trap there and a chance to go high, but you really had a double top, so I didn't like it as much. I think you were better to wait and see if it pulls back to the line again, which it does. Gives you a little two-legged move back. You can't see it, but that's a second entry on a smaller chart, and off it goes again. But this is a second entry short right here. Notice the first entry, pull back, second entry. And the fact that you went right through the EMA, pulls back, and you had this trend line, so you're looking for a new high because you had this two-tiered channel, and this is your first break, really. You really never got this, to be honest, but it's something going on up here. And you can see the midline already. And it looked like it was going to set up a great second here, and it didn't. But then you had your failed second entry short there, and you had that one more little push back that tested the trend line in the EMA again. If you want to be real aggressive, I think you're better off back to this trend line. And again, that's a second entry, much smaller chart. If you don't like, don't worry about it because you'll beat yourself up. And I'm not going to go into now, but price action basically works on every level. And that's why if you went to a bigger level, you'd probably see a second entry long here, one leg back, a move up, a pull back. And so there's something going on at every level. Generally, you want to pay attention to this level, but as you get better, you will start to see that stuff. There's another second entry long here, but you got basically a triple top working there. And I just don't think you want to go long there, especially knowing this trend line is probably up here. So it is a second entry long right there, though, but you got to go long right into that trend line. Would have worked, but you're better off to wait. And there was a second entry long down here, but you see everything stacking up, all that congestion. And we did have a break down here, so you had to be real careful. So I think you were better off just to kind of wait this out. And it was tempting to go long right here, but you don't want to get trapped just like it was tempting to go long right there. It's too big a chance you get trapped. So just wait and see if you get a short trap, or just wait and see what happens. And look how flat everything's gotten here. But look right here. You made that little low in the trap. I probably should circle that with green, even though I skipped it myself and just watched it. I think it deserves being green because that's that little one tick trap. It went just a little bit lower, and everybody gets short. Look at that big bearish bar, and people get short right there. They don't know any better, and that's a nice reversal bar. So if you went long there, it's okay. If you didn't there, I definitely wouldn't have gone long on that second entry. Not a very good, counting off the low, not a very good signal bar. Everything's really flat, but when it tried to go lower again and you get that failed second entry short, that's what they do. They trap everybody, and then they finally can run it higher, then it pulls back. We talked about that already. It's a little two-legged pullback. It's almost the same identical setup as here. It's a little bigger, but it's one move. There's a new high, pullback, move up, pullback. So again, it's a second entry long on a smaller chart. The thing is, it's right off that trend line with a bullish bar again, and we don't have a new high in place here yet. And you've also got a trend line kind of working here, so that you had to kind of be aware of. So I like that one. This is similar to a breakout pullback long right here, and we weren't back up to this high running across here. And actually, at the time, I had this a little high. And it probably is a little bit higher there. We just didn't quite get there on some of these other moves, but that's probably more where it's really at, and that's where I had it. I did kind of pull it down because it seems to fit better there and explain some of these other turn downs, and these were really just overshoots. But I don't think it matters. I think you get the same thing no matter where you put it. But then we just kind of got hung up going sideways again here, and what you're waiting on is prices to come back here. And it was tempting to enter off of this doji right here. And if it would have broke above this one after going lower, I'd probably say go long there. And even if you did go long there, it would have worked. But I think you got to wait and just make sure it's going to hold. And it does break lower and test it again and then goes higher. And you basically can treat that as a new high, pullback first entry, pullback second entry. And that trend line still holding, the EMA. So I like that one. And then you notice that new low, pullback first entry, then you're heading up, and there's a pullback, failed second entry short again with a reversal bar. It's also a breakout pullback long of this triple top right here. It's a nice bullish bar. You might have gotten shaken out of that one because it didn't go a whole lot higher. It kind of hung up there for a little bit. But, basically what I would have done was, You don't want to get shaken out of these trades, but you don't want to let it back up too much either. I probably would have maybe just tightened my, and I hate to say that, I'm very hesitant to say tighten your stop, but I would have kept an eye on this, and if it started rushing back down here, I may exit it. But the fact that it didn't get back up here to these highs, and one of the reasons I think, if you look at this now, that I really didn't pay that close attention to because I wasn't still trading at this time, but the reason we're finding these shorter highs is we were bouncing off this main trend line up through there. Look at it. High prices are acting as support and resistance on both sides. So that explains why you really were not getting all the way back up to this trend line or trend channel line. The trend line was kind of interfering with it. Probably more people were looking at that than they were now. But we weren't back up there yet. That kind of gave me would give you a little incentive to hang on. But if you got shaken out of this one, there's no reason to taking a loss. You should have at least got a tick or two out of it, because your signal bar technically has to go below this bar right here, or your safety stop rather. This is your signal bar, so your safety stop has to go down here. And you see that never even really came close to getting challenged. I didn't like adding on again here. That's too flat. It's at the high of the day. There's too big a chance it ticks up and turns back. It did come back and test that area, but it would have been enough to get a scalp. But notice where it turns down when it finally gets up to that higher line. And then it never really gives you a failed second entry short. It needed to tick lower right there, but I don't think you needed it, because it gave you this little bitty bar. I was really hoping for it to break lower and then turn up, but it didn't. But the fact that it couldn't get below 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars in a row, really, you count those two, 6, 7, and it never could go lower. That tells you, when the market tests a low that many times and can't go lower in an uptrending market, it's probably going higher. And this smaller one does give you enough room to get out before you get to that high. And so that was the reason I liked it too. If you got in on any of these others, you didn't quite have enough room. And I didn't mark it. That gets you into the 2 o'clock hour. I didn't mark anything else after that, even though there was a possibility to maybe get long right here. But it's well into the 2 o'clock hour, so I didn't mark it. But yeah, we had a nice downtrend yesterday, and we had a nice uptrend today. These are the nice, easy days that I talked about. When you got an uptrend going like this, just be patient and look for buying opportunities and get on with it. And it really was a little bit concerning right here, because you couldn't tell what was going on, but it's obvious you got this two-tiered channel here. And like I said, a lot of times when you did get the overshoot here, so you would expect it to get a break here, but a lot of times this early breakdown here does not, you just have to ignore it. It happens so early and the market, when it makes a big move up like that, then it's got a lot of momentum. So, but you don't know that until after the fact. So you just have to be really careful about getting short here, and that's the reason you don't see any shorts here. But then you got to be real careful about getting long and waiting for the timing to be right as well. You got to have a good setup. And like that bar right there, that's very tempting to go long right there. But look at all those bars lined up, and look how flat the EMA's done gotten. And you did have a breakdown here, so you just had to be real careful and wait and see what was going to happen. And you really didn't know for sure until here when you got the short trap. You got a trap here somewhat because it broke lower than that one. And that, I would rather see that 1 or 2 extra ticks rather than a flat double bottom, because they trap people like that. The average trader doesn't know any better, and they're looking for confirmation that the market's moving lower before they want to get short. And you got to do just the opposite. You got to sell high and buy low, and you got to what most traders do. They're waiting, and they're selling low, and they're buying high, and they're always getting whiplashed. And so don't be an amateur trader. Learn to buy low and sell high. And if you watch this stuff and practice it enough, you'll get enough confirmation that you can trust it, because it just goes against common sense. And that's why so many traders, it doesn't matter how smart you are. Really, the smarter you are, the more common sense you got. A lot of times, the tougher it's going to be to break through as a day trader or a trader at all. So just keep that in mind. But again, another nice trend day. Notice where all your best trades set up that were right off these trend lines. Um, and if you just waited on those, if you just bought the ones off the trend lines, you probably would have had a great day. And really just a good trading day. So it's two in a row where we had a nice trend. Yesterday it was down, today's up. We don't care which way it's going. As long as it's moving, we can make money, and that's all we're really concerned about. So. But I'm going to wrap it up for today. I'm going to get out of here. A little late getting this done. I wanted to have it done at 2, but I've been distracted all day. So, but I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow on this shortened week. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.